Even if you have no work to do, quarantine means that eventually you'll have nothing to do. It's times like these where games really prove their worth as they keep millions of people occupied while they're stuck inside, and one game in particular has risen to the top: Animal Crossing. The latest installment is actually the fastest selling Switch game in Japan of all time, and it's likely to have similar records around the world once Nintendo release their full figures. As the real world begins to feel more unstable and concerning, many people are diving into this game where the only objective is to wander around a village of talking animals, catching bugs, fishing, or just hanging out with your friends. At least that's what I had heard you do, because until very recently I had never actually played Animal Crossing, but to understand what all this hype was about, I had to play it, so I jumped right in. Getting into the game, I was greeted by Tom Nook, a talking Japanese raccoon dog who seemed to be in charge of the whole island.
Hi Tom. Tom Nook.
After learning how to pick things up, I went around picking up plants aimlessly for what seemed like forever until I got a quest to build a fishing rod made of tree branches. The fishing rod, although flimsy, felt like a great success, so I set off to catch a whopper, but not before saying hi to a non-player character who, unsurprisingly, did not reply. Fishing took a lot of attempts, and I honestly had no idea what I was doing wrong until I realized I was supposed to be casting my line at the silhouette of a fish, and then finally I caught something.
Oh no.
Undeterred, I pressed on, and when I eventually did catch a fish, I had the option to show it off, so that's exactly what I did.
Crab fisherman. How do I put it away?
It was around this point in the game where I really started to get the whole appeal. The scenery was tranquil, the music was pleasant, and my only real goal was to catch fish in the moonlight. I tried on some different outfits, I almost accidentally called an emergency rescue service, I even found a message in a bottle that taught me how to make my own mirror. I chased a floating present for a while that I didn't actually know how to get down to the ground.
What? What is that?
I set my sights on getting the recipe to craft an axe to chop wood, but not before catching some bugs, doing some more fishing, and visiting the local airport to inquire about how my friends could come and visit me.
I don't have any friends.
I was a little bit too excited to finally get the axe recipe. But I needed some more tree branches to actually craft it. Once I finally had it though, I went around bashing trees like it was nobody's business. At one point, I honestly forgot that I was making a video and I could feel myself getting pulled into this game with all the recipes to craft different wooden items. The fun only really came to a stop when I was told that I couldn't craft anything else because my inventory was too full of items, and that seemed like a good point to maybe take a break before I get too pulled in. But that is exactly what is happening to millions of people right now. They're getting pulled into this game, and honestly, I don't blame them. It's great. I honestly didn't play for long, and I know that I barely even scratched the surface with this game. There is just so much to do. I didn't even get to the whole island currency thing. You can get something called Nook Miles, which allows you to buy different cosmetic items. Didn't even touch any of that. For me, Animal Crossing New Horizons gives you 3 things you really want from a game during a pandemic. 1, it's a great way to just pass the time without even noticing it. 2, it's a stress-free experience. I'm sure there are plenty of games out there that you might personally find more fun than this, but I challenge you to find a game that is more pacifying during a time of great stress than Animal Crossing. And 3, it's just a great way to hang out with your friends when you can't see them in real life. I found an article in Forbes talking about the game, and I think they said it best when they said the game strikes a chord at a moment when the real world feels like it's falling apart. And I couldn't agree more. It feels like the ultimate form of escapism. It's like a vacation from your own life. While some of you may prefer to take a more pragmatic approach during this time than playing a game, you can't argue with the appeal of building your own little world where you can just forget the pandemic even for a little while. And obviously people may look back in the future and say, well, that game was only successful because of the pandemic. And while that may be true to some extent, it's still just a great game. It felt felt smooth, very intuitive, and really well paced. I'm already sitting here wondering what I'm going to craft next. Maybe I'll jump into it right now, but in the meantime, let me know if you've played Animal Crossing or any other game to fill the time. I'm all ears, and honestly at this point, I'm down to try them all.